say look at you, then you say
Of course
look
I'm
at
an
him.
interviewer, but hello, Amy.
Hi. Hi.
Okay.
I am the sole breadwinner of my family. Then I have a husband. He not really there one, and he's unemployed. Almost went to poly, but had to drop out cause like David happened. After David come out, then need to find job already. I work full time lah. I work full time at this childcare near my house. But salary not very good. 1.5k. This one don't tell them.
With no one at home to care for David, Angie brings her little toddler to the childcare center she works at every day. But as a preschool teacher, Angie is constantly preoccupied with managing the other kids, leaving David mostly unattended throughout the day.
1 a.m. I will bring him to the childcare. I'll bring David there. You know like how parents drop off kids at childcare, right? The only difference is I work there. David go and play with the other kids. I do whatever he want. To be honest, right, I don't see David. I put him off and then he just magically disappear. You know that time got this Kelvin, right? Then he will cry, then take out all of my time. I said how to take care of David. But the thing is David don't talk much. He only can say a few words. Down here, maybe he got a problem. Maybe he's stupid.
As David reaches 2 years old, Angie realizes that he isn't saying as many words as the other children his age. At home, he uses words like mommy, daddy, eat, and cup, but doesn't use common nouns like juice, blocks, or dolls. He hasn't been combining multiple words into sentences either. The second year of life is considered an important communicative milestone for children. It's the age where vocabulary expands rapidly as they learn about 5 to 9 new words per day. A 2-year-old should be saying at least 50 words, but this isn't always the case. While some can produce over 300 words, others seem to be able to produce only about 10. In this video, we will find out what late talking really is, describe its causes and implications, and illustrate possible scenarios that might become a reality for David and Angie.
As a mother, you want the best for the child, right? Yes. As stupid as he is, he means the world to me. And I just hope that, sorry, he really just means the world to me. You only can say, mommy, daddy, cut.
Late talking refers to a toddler's inability to A. Say more than 50 words and/or B. Combine 2 or more words into sentences by the age of 2. It's crucial to note that late talking isn't exactly a specific type of clinical disorder. Rather, it's a broad situation with numerous possible underlying causes. It could be a symptom of syndromes like intellectual disability or ASD, autism spectrum disorder, or it could just be a passing phase, a stage which most toddlers outgrow. So, is David a late talker?
He never gives me anything more than like 1 word reply. The longest reply he has like ever given me was like cup. Now fish. Swim. Fish. Swim. Fish. Cup. I really cannot. I cannot anymore.
According to Leslie Ruscola, a leading scholar in language development, most late talkers have a small vocabulary to begin with, so they don't exactly have the words required to make sentences. Thus, David's inability to combine words entails and is indicative of a limited expressive vocabulary, which is another definitive criteria for late talking. There are several tests that can measure David's expressive vocabulary. These tests are standardized, which means that they are administered in a predetermined and specific way that removes any bias from observers. They're also norm-inferencing, which means that David's test results are compared against those of other children to gauge where he stands. The language development survey is generally used for children around 24 months old. David's age. It comprises of 310 words that are arranged in 14 categories, such as food, animals, and vehicles. Parents circle the words that the child uses spontaneously, indicating the child uses word combinations, and if so, will write down 5 of the child's longest and best sentences. After getting a speech pathologist to analyze David's score, we discovered that David's performance ranks below the 15th percentile of the local population's 2-year-olds. While it varies according to region, this generally converts to an expressive vocabulary of about 20 words or less, a marker of late talking. Speech-language pathologists usually also combine these tests with interviews, surveys, or rating tools, and even child observations to give an accurate evaluation of the child. Let's say David is now classified as late talker. After an evaluation, there are 2 likely scenarios to come out of this. Late talking may be a symptom of underlying syndromes associated with many medical conditions. We will focus on the condition that's most widely researched, autism. The autism spectrum disorder is a group of neurological conditions that present social, emotional, and communicative challenges. Late talking and other language impairments are some of the defining symptoms of autism. Children with autism tend to only use single words over and over again, and cannot combine words into meaningful sentences. Essentially, all autistic children are late talkers, but not all late talking children are autistic. Children with autism utilize language only as a functional tool to achieve their communicative goals, rather than for social purposes. And these goals are rather egocentric, which means that they communicate for self-serving reasons.
For a while. Apply lotion.
Again?
Yes. Okay. Mom, please scratch eczema.
No, you're not supposed to scratch, your skin will tear.
Remember, Angie said that David only produces mommy, daddy, eat, and cup. Words that clearly serve instrumental purposes only. For instance, David may only say mommy and daddy because he needs to achieve a certain goal, such as to successfully communicate to Angie that he needs his diapers changed. Essentially, communicating that he's hungry, thirsty, or needs a diaper change are examples of egocentric goals, since David only makes requests for his own benefit. Therefore, David is using words strictly as functional tools, a characteristic associated with autism. But to officially diagnose David as autistic, a medical professional is required. Another possibility, scenario 2, is that David's late talking is nothing more than a passing stage. If late talking isn't due to an underlying syndrome, then it's usually a developmental phase, which is more probable for David given that 60% of late talkers fall under this group. This can be caused by factors that fall into 2 broad categories, environmental and biological. Studies have demonstrated that a family's socioeconomic status is an important environmental factor. More specifically, the mother's education level influences the vocabulary size of their children. Highly educated mothers use rich vocabulary and longer utterances with their children, who in turn develop larger, expressive vocabularies. On the flip side, late talking amongst 2-year-olds is correlated with the mother's low level of education.
Like most people I got go primary school, got go secondary school. Grades not so bad. Eventually can go poly, but David happen my English not very good. Secondary school level, it's okay School will teach him, school will teach him. Right.
David's learning is limited by Angie's language. To Angie, any animal that climbs trees, eats bananas, and has thick fur is a monkey. David therefore misses out on words like ape, gorilla, and chimpanzee. To him, all of them are just monkeys. A lack of parent-child interactions has also been linked to late talking, more specifically maternal responsiveness, the mother's reaction to a child in such situations. Allows the child to initiate the topic of interaction, and the parent to respond in ways that are meaningful to the child. This is a form of joint attentional focus, which occurs when both mother and child focus on a single object or event at the same time. Maintaining joint attentional focus on a child's interests, instead of redirecting them to other topics, for instance, allows the child to learn words more readily. Therefore, the less responsive mothers are to their children in parent-child interactions, the weaker the joint attentional focus between them becomes. which hinders word learning. Parents of late talkers often respond less to their children. They tend to introduce new topics instead of responding to what children say in interactions. On the other hand, genes are also associated with late talking. Children with family histories of late talking are 2 times more likely to be late talkers than children with no such family histories. One study found that identical twins who share all their genes were more likely to be late talker than non-identical twins who share only 50% of their genes. This proves that genes are a major factor causing late talking, although a subsequent analysis of the study revealed that there were also important environmental factors behind why the identical twins turn out to be late talkers. Researchers are still unsure of whether environmental factors like socioeconomic status or intrinsic factors like genes are more likely to be the causes of late talking as a stage. Usually it's a combination of both. Fortunately, regardless of the environmental factors or biology, children with late talking as a developmental phase usually outgrow it eventually. This has been observed in many of such children all over the world. One study found that more than 60% of late talkers who weren't speaking at age 2 had caught up by the time they were 4 years old. In the US, another study followed late talkers from the age 2 till they were 17 years old and concluded that late talkers were talking and reading just fine by the time they were young adults. According to the psycholinguist Stephen Baker, talking begins only when the brain reaches a certain level of development. If a child's brain has not developed enough to be talking, then treatments aiming to get the child to talk will generally be ineffective. When it comes to late talkers like David, the Hand and Parent Training Program, a type of parent-implemented early intervention, is recommended. Unlike traditional methods with speech-language pathologists, there is no structured teaching involved. Treatment occurs whenever the parent and child are together. The goal is for David to acquire words as he talks about things that are most interesting to him, based on the premise that maintaining joint attentional focus and being responsive to a child's interests encourages vocabulary growth. So, instead of introducing objects into David's periphery, Angie allows David to decide what interests him. She will then respond by interpreting his words.
Huh? You know me, I'm a seahorse. Be a mother soon. The seahorse says things. How can that be? David, you want the cup? Cup. It's a blue cup. Ball. You want to play ball? You want the ball?
As David learns to understand the words that go with his wants and interests, he will in time be able to use these words himself. Evidently, the management of a child with late talking should be customized according to the cause of the condition, be it a symptom of an underlying syndrome or a developmental stage. Bottom line is, late talking is not a clinical disorder, but it's a rather broad situation with numerous possible underlying causes, some of which are in research territories waiting to be explored.